We're back here on HQ Spotlight as we continue to count down the days to the start of the 2025 college football season. It cannot come soon enough. You know the usual top contenders, right, to make the CFP, the Georgias, the Texases, the Ohio States of the world. But what about the unlikely players that also have a shot at their college football playoff debut? Let's go ahead and get into it as we welcome Richard Johnson and Brad Crawford to the show. Gentlemen, great to see you. Let's go ahead and start with why Iowa State is poised for their college football playoff debut, Brad.
For me, I think the Big 12 is wide open this season. Iowa State's one of 5 or 6 teams that has a roster good enough to win the conference. And I think it sets up for the Cyclones, the schedule that is, to get back to the Big 12 title game. They've got a 2-year starting quarterback, returning senior Rocco Beck there under center. They've got new wide receiver help from the portal. Chase Soule, one of ECU's top players last year. He's with the Cyclones now. And the only top 25 opponent that Iowa State plays during the regular season in Big 12 play is Arizona State. And they get the Sun Devils at home, a rematch of last season's Big 12 title game. So you see there, they miss Utah, they miss Texas Tech, they don't play Kansas State, except for that opening game, which does not count, by the way, in the Big 12 schedule standing. So there's 3 other teams, I think, in the Big 12 capable of getting there, but Iowa State is my team that, in Matt Campbell's 10th season, wins the Big 12 and makes its playoff debut.
You're making it make sense. I don't hate it. We'll wait and see. Let's now get to a team that we might have to really be taken seriously in this new era of college football, and that's JMU. They have all the momentum after ending last season with their first ever bowl game win in school history, but will they be just as competitive this season, Richard?
Highest ranked group of 5 conference champion gets in. So James Madison, you got a path to get in. James Madison is going to be one of the most intriguing rushing attacks in the country with what they have bringing back running back George Pettaway and either Matthew Sluka or Alonzo Barnett, if he's healthy, behind center to pair up with FCS transfer Cam Coleman. They've got an intriguing quarterback room. They're going to have to figure out how that works out, and again, if Barnett is healthy at quarterback, but they will pair with Pettaway to be really, really difficult to defend on the ground. JMU has been good year in, year out. They're coached by Bob Chesney, who's a guy who has won at every single level of college football. They have what a group of 5 team needs, which is a P4 opponent early. They play Louisville. As you see right there, they go to the Cardinals. And then they also play Washington State in November. They'll have 2 chances on the national stage to impress the committee and impress people watching them. But to me, JMU should be winning the Sun Belt. And if you win a group of 5 league, you have a chance at the dance. Boise showed that last year. If you can be really good and you can impress, and you can have a transcendent player, there's a path for you, and I think JMU has that.
They've got a shot for sure. Excited to chat about this next team, you guys, and that's Navy. Brad, towards really the end of last season, both Navy and Army made things interesting for us all, but what does Navy's path look like for this season's college football playoff?
Okay, hear me out here. 17 returning starters from a 10-win team, including Blake Horvath at quarterback. He had 1,200 yards rushing last season, 20-some touchdowns. I mean, very, very good midshipman team returning. 9 starters on defense are back. And this team won 10 games, and all that production essentially returns. And they can certainly win a top-heavy American. The American, by the way, is the best top-to-bottom G5 conference. I think if Navy does run the table in the American and wins that league, they're getting to the playoff. There's that marquee game, too, in the second half of the year at Notre Dame. That's a chance to impress the committee. Navy does not have to win that game, however, to make the playoff. If they run the table, like I said, and win the American, they will get that G5 bid because the schedule, there you have it, is good enough to get there.
Few players here. Next team is led by what really feels like America's coach in Curt Cignetti. Last season's success led to, of course, his big payday and extension at Illinois. They got their quarterback in Luke Altmaier, but Richard, it's really the schedule that sets up for them to make some noise yet again in the Big Ten.
Yeah, for Illinois, quite frankly, they're going to, I think, take the Indiana path to the college football playoff, which is the schedule's not going to be that difficult. They should be able to not run the table, but at least perform really well against it. Pay attention to Duke in week 2. That will be a difficult out for Illinois. But if they can run the table against the rest of that schedule and compete with Ohio State, just like Indiana did last year, I think there's a path for Illinois. They are bringing back basically their entire offense, including, and in addition to, I should say, quite a bit of production on the defensive side of the ball. It's a veteran team. Brett Bielema can really, really coach. He's able to get the most out of the teams that he coaches. And I love what Luke Altmaier is able to do for them behind center. They are really, really ingenious to me offensively. So I think for a third or fourth place Big Ten team, there can be a path to the college football playoff. And I think that could be Illinois.
Got our eyes mixed up there. Brett Bielema really getting everyone fired up at Big Ten Media Days as well. We can't wait for it. Lastly, you guys, let's go ahead and talk about the Miami Hurricanes. And Brett, I'm going to need you to explain yourself here as why they are poised for the playoff after going through quite the switch up at quarterback.
Yeah, Miami spent more money this offseason, Jordan, than any team in the ACC in terms of talent acquisition and transfer portal, paying upwards of $4.5 to $5 million for ex-Georgia quarterback Carson Beck. Georgia tried to keep him, by the way, so it shows that Miami is getting an elite player at that position. I've been told by a team source down there in Coral Gables that this is the best offensive line the Canes have had under Mario Cristobal. He's a former offensive line coach, so he has to like that there, getting those big uglies in Miami. So I know the schedule has some challenges, Notre Dame, Florida in the non-conference, but remember, the ACC does get one of those auto bids, and Miami does not play Clemson in the regular season. So we could be in for a Hurricanes versus Tigers matchup in Charlotte in December with both of those teams getting to the playoff bracket. I think just like last season in 2024, the ACC is going to have two expanded playoff representatives.
I think Brad makes a really, really key point when he talks about the Miami offensive line situation in front of Carson Beck. Carson Beck struggled last year at Georgia, in my opinion, primarily because of how much chop and change Georgia had along its offensive line. A lot of injuries, a lot of guys rotating in and out. Miami, I don't expect Miami to have that. They're bringing back 4 or 5 starters, and their center, James Brockmeyer, is the only new player. I think a stable offensive line in front of Carson Beck will get you the best version of Carson Beck, a little bit closer to the Beck we thought we were going to get coming into last season. Again, we didn't get it because of Georgia's offensive deficiencies. I think Miami is able to get the most out of him, and with a new defensive coordinator and some new defensive backs, I think they simplify that system, and I think they're a little bit less boomer bust this season. That's why I also have Miami making the college football playoff.
All right, gentlemen, you make some strong cases for these teams. Incredible insight, as always. Thanks so much for joining us here on HQ Spotlight as you take a look at the current odds to win the college football playoff and national championship this upcoming season. Texas, the Arch Manning era officially begins. In Texas, up there at the top, according to odds makers, with the best odds at plus 550.